You need everyone to come. You look better from this side. Sitting in the back, we need you to come forward.
Hey, look who made it. I know. So when you get HSC,
The rest of them over there doing escorts.
they're here. They're looking good. You look good.
Our hills up there, the whole place there. Whole place.
I'm playing in the class. So I'm just starting going now. Hey.
He said you're doing a good job.
Oh, I was about to say my car audio is at 38. Ladies and gentlemen, please silence all cell phones and electronic devices as our ceremony will begin momentarily.
You want to get the mic close to you? Oh, it's a
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the men and women of the 3rd Maintenance Squadron, in keeping one of the oldest traditions in military service, pay special tribute to Senior Mess Sergeant Darren C. Davis on the occasion of his retirement from active duty after 23 years and 4 days of faithful service. Throughout the ceremony, there will be times when you will be asked to stand and be seated. As a reminder, during the playing of the national anthem, military members in uniform should stand at attention, and military members in civilian clothes and civilians should place their right hand over their heart. Officiating today's ceremony is Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Smith, 3rd Maintenance Squadron Commander, Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson. I am Master Sergeant Brent Hill, and I will be your narrator for today's ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem and the invocation by Chaplain Musselman.
Set the colors.
Colors. Oh. Freeze that. Oh. Color turn. Pop.
I'd like you to join me as I pray in just a few seconds. Play the national anthem again. All right, let us pray. Throughout the many years that you've given Senior Master Sergeant Davis, Lord, the chances and opportunities to grow as a young airman, as an NCO and senior NCO, you've cared for him, you've grown him and taken his gifts in order to improve upon the people, us, and many other folks and systems throughout the Air Force. You've journeyed with him throughout his time, his long hours worked, the voluntold and the volunteering, the juggling of being a husband and a dad, the ups and downs of maintenance and the management of putting birds in the sky, and the successes and sometimes heartaches that come with the job. His yes, Lord, to join the United States Air Force nearly 24 years ago is but a small tree in the forest of life. In your plan, God, nothing is wasted, and all experiences are never in vain. And so on this Good Friday, we don't retire a friend, but only the uniform that was Senior Master Sergeant Davis's identity. Beyond today, may he not grow out his beard longer than his smile, not spend too much money at Bass Pro, but if he must, may it be on his friends and his job. May he enjoy his family more than ever, and may you continue to mark out the perfect path for the many years of life ahead of him. Thank you for our brother in arms, his family that has loved him through it all, and wife Emily, his children, Dustin, Ian, William, and the other one who's not here, Katie, Janet, Larry, Ray, his in-laws, Caitlin, and the granddaughter Emily this afternoon. Today, Lord, we say goodbye to our friend who will continue to be our friend beyond this day. And so I personally seek your blessing on this ceremony and ask for these things in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Musselman. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Now allow me to extend a special welcome to Sergeant Davis's special guest in the audience today. Senior Master Sergeant Davis's wife, Evelyn, his daughter, Katie, his sons, Ian, William, and daughter-in-law, Caitlin, and granddaughter, Emily, his father and mother-in-law, Larry and Janet Ray. We are also honored to have in our audience today is 3rd Maintenance Squadron Operations Officer, Mr. David Johnson. And finally, I would like to welcome all other commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, supervisors, and friends. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor and privilege to announce the presiding official, 3rd Maintenance Squadron Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Smith.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you guys coming out here. First off, I'd like to thank Maintenance Flight for putting all this stuff together. This doesn't just happen overnight. Well, it kind of happened overnight this time, but nevertheless, it takes a lot of time and energy to put all this stuff together. I'd like to thank AMXS for letting us use their aircraft for a few hours anyway, so appreciate that. Also, I'd like to thank the Davis family for being here. I know it really means a lot to him that you could be here today and help celebrate his 23 years in service. Beyond that, I'd like to thank you, Darren, for the opportunity to be a part of your ceremony. After looking through your career in records and getting a chance to sit down and talk to you, I know there's probably no less than a dozen people that would drop anything to come here, be here, and be part of this ceremony and do this for you. So it means a lot that you asked me to do it. Oh, and one other thing I'd like to thank you for. Thank you for proving that you can take the crew chief out of the Air Force, but you can't take the crew chief out of the airman.
That's right.
Yesterday, we were setting up for the ceremony, and see this black skirt that goes around the stage? In true crew chief fashion, as he's trying to put the clips in, rather than figuring out how they go in, he uses the biggest hammer he can find and jams those things into the stage. We get about 3/4 of the way down, and I'm like, all right, I think you just slide them in there. He's like, oh, yeah, well, good luck getting the rest of them out of there. So thank you for that. It was a perfect crew chief moment. Thanks. So going back a few years, Darren grew up in Independence, Missouri, just outside of Kansas City. A couple of quick facts about Independence. It's the birthplace of Harry S. Truman and also the official start of the Oregon Trail. He went to William Chrisman High School, played football there as a fullback and a linebacker. Sounds like he was pretty good too, because apparently he had Mizzou come out taking a look at him. Unfortunately, things didn't work out quite as well or quite in the fashion that he may have envisioned. There was a slight altercation and he kind of ended up on the tail side of that altercation. Didn't get to finish high school. However, he ended up finishing up GED in 1989. Shortly thereafter that, he moved to Mesa, Arizona with his family, where he's big into FFA and dairy farm type judging like he was previously as well. He was also going to a community college there working on his EMT certification. This is where he met Evelyn. She said there was an instant reaction. Notice I didn't say attraction, there was instant reaction. It wasn't love. I think he said he was an arrogant, well, you know. So in true form, in the name of romance, Darren made a bet with his friend that he could date her first. With a little help from one of her friends, Darren actually managed to scam a date. He went all out on this and brought her to McDonald's. She happened to work at a McDonald's at the same time. So by the second date, I have no idea how he conned her into a second date, but on the second date, he goes, I'm going to marry you. That's not arrogance or anything, is it, at all? So, Evelyn's mother had other plans. She said, At that time, apparently, Darren had a lot of hair and a huge beard, and it was a little rough around the edges. So I got a plan for this. I'm going to make him cut all his hair off or clean up. So as you can see, Darren kind of went to the extreme and cut all his hair off. So I don't think that's what she envisioned, but good on you, way to go. So needless to say, the rest is history. And in 1991, they were married. Started a family in 1992. Leslie was born. Darren finished up his schooling in 93 and was kind of faced with the same questions as many of our young airmen. He was a little bit older at the time, but what do I do now? New marriage, young family. What are my plans? His family had some history in the military. His dad's side was mostly in the Navy, and his mom's side had some Air Force history there, dating all the way back to World War II, and then several tours in Vietnam. So military was kind of always an option. And he started to kind of look at that as a good way to start his career and look towards retirement and figure out if, well, maybe I'll get start a career there and be able to finish that on the outside, or who knows. Coming in, he kind of initially had some thoughts about security forces, but showed some talent in maintenance. Actually wanted to be an engine mechanic. But recruiter said, well, sorry, we can't make you an engine mechanic, but if you go open maintenance, of course, you'll be an engine mechanic, no problem. And he's a coochie. So. He set his sights on an Air Force career shortly after being in and looking towards that military retirement. He thought becoming a master sergeant would really be the pinnacle. Like, if I could get there, that would be the ultimate. He said back then, they knew it all. They had it made. They were the old scary guys. Well, I hate to say it, Sergeant Davis. Then is now. That's you, the old scary guy. Before leaving tech school, I know I've been told anyway, I haven't gone through the crew chief tech school, many of you see, and some of you guys actually recite the mechanic's creed. Upon my honor, I swear that I shall hold in sacred trust the rights and privileges conferred upon me as a certified mechanic, knowing full well the safety and lives of others are dependent upon my skill and judgment. That's just an excerpt, which is actually in your guys' programs, but that's putting a lot of faith and trust into our young airmen right off the bat. But Darren, like most of our other crew chiefs, was not afraid of that challenge. He set out to do the best he possibly could. Right after tech school, the Davis family was off to Moody Air Force Base, Georgia in 1993, where he was assigned to the 68th Fighter Squadron as an assistant dedicated crew chief. He made impacts immediately as an ADCC on a D model in December of 93, actually earned Premier Falcon, the first time that this has been done for D model aircraft. He helped with an aircraft generation for Operation Southern Watch, and in 94 himself he deployed to Saudi Arabia to participate in Desert Storm. In 1995, he did what many crew chiefs have never done and may never accomplish in their entire career. He actually had a black letter aircraft. For your crew chiefs, you know what that is and how challenging that can become. He was able to complete all his DDs on his aircraft, and for one day had a black letter aircraft. He helped push yet another unit up for deployment, and about that same time, the Davises had their second son, Ian. And then he was off on another deployment, in support of Operation Southern Watch, where they completed over 1,500 missions and flew over 4,000 hours. In 1996, Darren was on yet another AEF rotation, this time in Jordan. He helped set up a bear base and bed down 220 facilities and over 1,200 personnel, supported Operation Southern Watch, exercised eager tire and local flying with the Royal Jordanian Air Force. If you guys are keeping track, he's been in the Air Force about 3 years at this point in time. He's been on two deployments and one AEF rotation. I would definitely say that's a high ops tempo. By the end of 1997 and his time at Moody, Darren was kind of considering some other options. For 1 year, he left active duty and served with the reserves. And that's about all he had to say about that. Fast forward to 98, Double D, as he was known back then, was back in the Air Force. The Davis family was a little bigger. In February of 1998, Katie was born, and by July, they were assigned to Hill Air Force Base, Utah. Darren was assigned as a member of the 4th Fighter Squadron, but things had not really slowed down for the Air Force. Then, Senior Airman Davis helped prep the 421st Fighter Squadron for deployment in support of Operation Desert Fox. He wasn't on this deployment, but he used his time well. He managed to get his 7-level CDCs completed 9 months before his peers. He was recognized as a professional of the highest caliber, and his superior workmanship helped earn the Ops Group Maintenance Section of the Year for 1998. In March of 99, William was born, and by December, Darren was off again, deployed to El Jabra, Kuwait in support of Operation Southern Watch. And only a few months after returning, he was selected to serve on a TDY for Maple Flag in Cold Lake, Canada. Spent a couple weeks there, and no sooner did he get back, and he had orders to Korea. He was assigned to 80th Fighter Squadron at Kunsan. He was recognized as an absolute superior performer and noted as having unlimited technical abilities. In fact, in March of 01, they earned an excellent on ORI, which is no small feat for a Korea unit. Following Kunsan, Darren and his family were off to Luke Air Force Base, Arizona, where he was assigned to 756 AMXS. As a new staff sergeant, he was trusted as a swing shifts expediter and managed 13 aircraft and 14 personnel. This is a job he would hold for several times throughout his career, described it as one of his favorite jobs in the entire Air Force. Darren spent the next 3 years as a flight line expediter, noted as an exceptional performer, maintained a 100% QA eval rate from June 01 to May 02, earned crew chief of the quarter, and was noted as a dynamic leader and a hard-charging NCO. In 2003, Darren had a big year. He was a 756 AMXS crew chief of the year, outstanding performer on one of his TDYs. He got the Dress to Kill award for his aircraft. And top it all off, he was a 56 fighter wing crew chief of the year. 2005 brought about some changes for Darren. He was promoted to tech sergeant and was selected for QA. This is the first time he spent a little bit of time off of the flight line and a little bit further away from production, but he still continued to influence the maintenance group. Over the course of 3 years, he helped the maintenance group earn an excellent in an AETC ORI. The MOS squadron there earned the MEA, and the 56 Fighter Wing earned 3 Dedallion Awards, and he had to earn AMXS Maintenance Pro of the Year. Through all of this, Darren had established himself as part of the community, though, not just part of the Air Force. He continually worked with local youth sports, volunteered with the Boy Scouts, volunteered at the church, was working on a CCAF and bachelor's degree, and even earned the First Sergeant Diamond Award. He had demonstrated and continues to demonstrate the whole airman concept. Darren's last year at Luke, he was assigned as an assistant aircraft section chief. Many describe this as one of the most challenging jobs that they'll have in the Air Force. I've heard it likened to herding cats. But Darren did a good job of it. In 2008, he was off to Elmendorf. He was assigned as 19th AMU section chief, working at 15s. He was only on station for about 6 months. He was called to deploy again. In that 6 months, he helped secure an AMXS LSAT Excellent, the best in 3 years, and a PACAF Dedallion Award. By Jan 09, Darren was an LUD, who supported operations Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, and Joint Task Force Horn of Africa. He was actually assigned as I had to write this down, this one's a big one, Force Protection Security Escort Vehicle Control Officer. He oversaw 44 airmen across 33 AFSCs, managed 42 vehicles, and maintained a 98% vehicle in commission rate, overhauling a completely deficient vehicle program. I don't know about you, but I think about an aircraft maintainer going into a vehicle ops, vehicle maintenance organization, and man, do I feel bad for those maintainers. Upon his return to Elmo, he was promoted to Master Sergeant back in the 19th AMU as a section chief, where he took on first sergeant duties, trained with family advocacy programs, and helped earn yet another medallion and another MEA. That year, in fact, the 19th Fighter Squadron won the Raytheon Trophy as well. In 2010, Sergeant Davis was off on yet another deployment, this time to Al-Assad Air Base, Iraq, where he was in charge of a 5-member TA and Age team, where they processed over 1,600 aircraft and 42,000 personnel, along with 1,700 tons of cargo. After returning from this deployment, he was assigned to 3rd MXS. He served as a pro super for a year and a half and was one of the prime contributors coordinating MXS's efforts to the F-2202 TCTO. In fact, Gabriel was the first in the Air Force to comply with that TCTO. Served as a PACAF ORI IG team member, and guided us through a CUI, combined unit inspection, and an LCAP, earning excellent on both. Again, that year, the MHD earned yet another medallion award. However, Darren must have felt the itch, because in 2013, he deployed again, this time for a year. He volunteered as an air advisor for the Afghan Air Force. He describes this as the toughest job he's ever had in his entire life. He was charged with training Afghani maintenance and ops to fly and fix Cessnas that they attach Hellfire missiles to. He said that was just a challenge trying to build an entire Air Force, because they went in there with more or less nothing, and it wasn't just the aircraft maintenance and the flying, but trying to teach them how to be an Air Force with not enough resources, not enough people, not enough training to make the mission happen. But he did great things over there, and he managed to still stay engaged with his Air Force Corps as well. He was a member of the top 3 and pushed several members through PME and helped several members start and get their CCIF while he was deployed. After returning from his final deployment, he moved to maintenance flight for the last 3 years. This didn't slow him down. MXS has earned the Air Force MEA. Maintenance group has earned 3 medallions, and he's repatriated 2/3 of the Air Force members from the C-124 crash on Colony Glacier. And honestly, from my perspective, he's helped lead the flight and the squadron through some of its toughest times. So I don't know how many of you guys were keeping track of the number of deployments. Did anybody count? Other than his family, because I know they know. He deployed 7 times in his career. And I didn't keep track of all the TDYs, but when I got a chance to sit down and talk to him, he said in his 23 years, he spent 11 and a half years either deployed or TDY. I don't know how else you define a servant leader better than that. Our core values are instilled in us, but I believe that Darren really lived the core values of service before self. Talking with Sergeant Davis, there's no doubt he's a proud maintainer, dedicated to service, selflessly gives to his airmen, and proud of the impacts that he has made in our Air Force. Even though being away from his family has been the hardest part of his career, when asked what would you change, he honestly said, not much. He said there's been tough times and I wish I could have been there more for my family, but put me in, coach. I'm ready for 10 more years and 1 or 2 more deployments maybe. I believe that retirement is a time to reflect on where you've been and what you've done. Military life can be difficult on families, and some families devastating. Sergeant Davis has few, if any, reservations about himself, his family, or his career. His sacrifices are honored each day by his wife Evelyn, standing by him for 25 years, standing by him and the Air Force. His son Dustin finishing med school. His son Ian overcoming a mountain of adversity and being sworn into Anchorage Police Department. And seeing his daughter and youngest son graduate high school with a world of opportunities in front of him. To Darren, these are the fruits of his labor. Likewise, seeing his airmen grow to be supervisors, learning to follow, then lead, expanding their scope of influence, and seeing your successes, airmen's successes, and learning from their failures. So to end with the beginning, upon my honor, I swear that I shall hold in sacred trust the rights and privileges conferred upon me as a certified mechanic, knowing full well the safety and lives of others are dependent on my skill and judgment. The first time we heard this, I assume most of you think of the aircraft and maybe the pilot or the passengers on that aircraft. The mechanic they refer to is not the same mechanic, supervisor, leader, mentor we expect in the Air Force. We place more than maintenance under the definition as a mechanic, as stated by that creed. Let me read this again with a couple of slight modifications. Upon my honor, I swear that I shall hold in sacred trust the rights and privileges conferred upon me as an airman, knowing full well the safety and lives of others are dependent upon my skill and judgment. I realize the grave responsibility which is mine as a certified airman to exercise my judgment on the airworthiness of aircraft, equipment, and my fellow airmen. After listening to Seamaster Sergeant's career, you get a true sense of what the creed really means and how he lived this creed through his career and how he lived with the Air Force core values. To me, this creed was written from a civilian aviation perspective. Our airmen, our mechanics, are more than that creed ever imagined. Darren, I feel you've helped us widen our definition of this creed. Sergeant Davis, has been a privilege and an honor to have served with you. I wish you were a family of this.
Sergeant Davis, can you please join Lieutenant Colonel Smith at center stage? Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Air Force Military Service Medal and the posting of the retirement order. Attention to orders. Citation accompanying the award of the Air Force Military Service Medal, 2nd Oak Leaf Cluster, to Senior Master Sergeant Darian C. Davis for service from 21 January 2014 to 31 July 2017. Senior Master Sergeant Darian C. Davis distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Maintenance Flight Chief, 3rd Maintenance Squadron, 3rd Maintenance Group, 3rd Wing, Joint Base Elmendorf Richardson. During this period, Sergeant Davis managed maintenance flight $1,400,000 budget and organized more than 732 mobility assets worth $3.9 million. His leadership helped streamline turn-in and issue processes that saved 128 man-hours. Additionally, Sergeant Davis consolidated the C-17 and F-22 crash damaged or disabled aircraft recovery work center into one section by developing a cross-utilization training plan and overseeing its 32-member transformation. His efforts increased the wing's in-flight emergency response capabilities by 168%. Furthermore, Sergeant Davis directly supported Joint Task Force Colony Glacier. His oversight led to his team recovering of 14,000 pounds of C-124 aircraft debris and the identification of 32 missing people. Finally, Sergeant Davis' expertise was instrumental in the group selection for the PACA Air Force Dedalian Weapons System Maintenance Trophy in 2013, 2015, and 2016, and the squadron earning the Air Force Maintenance Effectiveness Award in 2014 and the Burn War Award in 2016. The singularly distinctive accomplishment of Sergeant Davis culminates a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflects great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Signed, 3rd Maintenance Group Commander, Colonel Michael L. Merritt. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as Lieutenant Colonel Smith retires Sergeant Davis from the United States Air Force upon his completion of 23 years and 4 days of active duty service.
Publish the order.
Attentional orders. In accordance with Special Order Number Alpha Charlie 012070 dated 9 August 2016, Senior Master Sergeant Darian C. Davis, you are relieved from active duty effective 31 July 2017, 3rd Maintenance Squadron, Joint Base Elmendorf Richardson, Alaska, and retired effective 1 August 2017 per Air Force Instruction 363203 in the grade of Senior Master Sergeant by the order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Colonel Smith will now present a certificate of retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America, which reads, "To all who shall see these presents greeting, this is to certify that Senior Master Sergeant Darian C. Davis has served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of August 2017. Signed, Christopher J. Nemai, Colonel, 3rd Wing Commander, and David Goldfein, General, Chief of Staff." In honor of Sergeant Davis' retirement, we have a special certificate to present from former President of the United States, George W. Bush. The certificate reads as follows. Dear Darian, congratulations on your retirement from the United States Armed Forces. I am proud to have served as your Commander-in-Chief, and I am pleased to join your friends, family, and colleagues in recognizing your career and accomplishments. On behalf of a grateful nation, I thank you for your contributions to our security and to the cause of peace and freedom. Your service, patriotism, and selfless devotion have helped advance the universal hope of liberty and at home and around the world. Sincerely, George W. Bush. Additionally, we have a certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, which reads, Senior Master Sergeant Darren C. Davis, I'm proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. The achievement and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well deserved, but your selfless contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes, a new one begins. I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Signed, James A. Cody, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. And lastly, a letter of congratulations from Colonel Lee Mai, 3rd Wing Commander, Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson, Alaska. Dear Sergeant Davis, I'd like to wish you and Evelyn congratulations on the occasion of your retirement from active duty service to our country. Your contribution, you contributed directly to the many accomplishments of 3rd Wing.